Yeah, I know that reviewing this movie now doesn't make chronological sense as it was released before the last film I savagely critiqued, but in truth it's currently slim fucking pickings at the cinema. Sure, I could have gone for the latest Thor flick, but I internally vowed not to touch the MCU unless it churned out something that strayed from the traditional Marvel formula or elected to be complete shit. Love and Thunder does neither of those things. For the record, I thought it was politely average. Tonally speaking, however, it's a little imbalanced as the comedy consistently undermines the plot points. The acting was reliable as ever, and I'd expect nothing less considering how experienced the main cast are at playing their respective roles. The action is well choreographed, especially when it came to how the shards of Mjolnir were incorporated into the combat. The soundtrack went too hard on the classic rock, but that could be down to my personal taste, and the same could be said regarding my negative feelings towards the costume design as well as the colour palette. MVP goes to Christian Bale, but I really enjoyed Mjolnir and Stormbreaker's character development. Also, Natalie Portman would totally get it, so slide into my inbox if you want to go halves on a rape charge. Lightyear is a 100-minute long animated space opera that doesn't require familiarity with the Toy Story franchise to understand, because it immediately provides a title card that's vague yet more informative than the alarmingly detailed results of my genitourinary examination. I expected to hate this movie. I fully anticipated it to be a lazily written, cheaply designed, passionlessly voice-acted cash grab at the expense of the Toy Story fanbase. In my defense, that apprehension is entirely justified given the nature of how most spin-offs play out. However, putting Lightyear in that demographic would be a placement more idiosyncratic than if the Academy were to slap Uwe Boll's name on an Oscar for Best Film Director. From a technical standpoint, the film is fucking awesome. The animations are more polished than my long overdue YouTube Creator Award. It's apparent that a lot of research, time, effort, ardor, and psychotic attention to detail went into creating these beautiful visuals, which were complemented perfectly by crisp audio engineering. Fuck, even Michael Giacchino managed to put a soundtrack together that gave me the impression he wasn't tonsil deep in John Williams' arsehole at time of composing. Lightyear's narrative isn't particularly complicated and really didn't need to be, considering it's a PG, so anything more intricate than that wouldn't favour the bulk of its audience, plus the simplicity of the story benefits the overall experience, although it is clearly influenced by sci-fi and other mediums of its genre to the point where it borderline forces itself upon plagiarism. Also, the movie carried way more emotional clout than one would assume. It does contain moments that would inspire you to experience a variety of feelings, but unfortunately for the film, I am who I am. So any attempt at pulling on my heartstrings were pointless, as they're attached to a cold, dark void that's forever being filled with deep-fried onion rings and flagons of mead. All of the voice actors do a fine job in spite of some characters flirting heavily with the generic, but thankfully our protagonist keeps his dignity together and manages to resist such temptation. With that said though, if you're expecting to see the same buzz as the one from the Toy Story films, you will be disappointed. I wasn't though, as Lightyear emits a completely different tone compared to its ancestors, and if our title character wasn't modified as such, the whole movie would be tastelessly eclectic. You still get recognisable in the form of mannerisms and catchphrases, however they're being uttered by Chris Evans, not Tim Allen, which in my eyes is fine, as replication is not the goal and Tim Allen's style wouldn't suit Lightyear's vibe, but it's clear that Evans's version of the Space Ranger, that at times bizarrely reminded me of the Master Chief, paid plenty of homage and respect towards its predecessor. Another positive addition to this reimagining of Buzz is his robotic cat companion, who for me is the MVP. In short, Socks is brilliant. I enjoyed how balanced his feline traits were with the mechanical aspects of his being. He's hilarious yet deadpan as fuck, and up until now I had no idea that my life needed what would essentially be the result of Hugh from Final Space and R2-D2 somehow producing offspring by ways of spit roasting Garfield. In conclusion, Lightyear is a well-written, decently voice-acted and technically brilliant movie with animations that deserve recognition of the highest form. Fuck, there's even a cute little twist in the final act that's less predictable than anything Shyamalan has spewed out recently. It does carry the scent of setup though. Nothing has been announced in terms of sequel at present, but the critical praise and box office success points to Pixar inevitably draining this could-be film series with the same amount of gusto that justice will show when debilitating Amber Heard's bank account.